Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'm going to change the oil on this Mercedes Benz. I know that you are used to seeing me work on a motorcycle. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, which is we're going to change the oil on this Mercedes Benz. This model is the GLK model, and we're going to just do a simple oil change. If you learn how to do some of your own routine maintenance, you can actually save yourself a pretty good amount of money over the long haul, and you know the job will be done right. So stay tuned to this video, and I'm gonna show you how I change this oil on this Mercedes GLK model. So let's get started. So what are some of the tools that we're going to use to perform this oil change? First and foremost, we're going to go back with a full synthetic oil. This is Mobil 1. It's a 5W30, and it's formulated for Mercedes Benz gasoline and diesel engines. This particular Mercedes GLK holds 6.9 quarts of oil. So we're going to go back with Mobil 1 full synthetic. Also, I'm going to use a drain pan. This is actually the same drain pan that I use on the Honda Goldwing. The same one. This particular drain pan holds 11 quarts of oil. Since the Mercedes holds 6.9s, we have plenty of room to drop the motor oil. Also, we're going to be going back with an original filter for this Mercedes Benz. And this particular filter also comes with an O-ring. So we're going to go back with an original filter. Also, we're going to use a oil filter wrench. And this particular oil filter wrench is made for the Mercedes Benz. This particular Mercedes Benz, we're going to change the oil filter housing. You don't have to change this every time you do an oil filter. On your standard cars, you have a regular screw-on oil filter that's disposable. With this particular Mercedes Benz, the oil filter goes inside of this housing, and this is basically just a cover. It has an O-ring on this cover, and we're going to use this special tool that goes on the top. It's going to go on the top of this cover, and we're going to take it off with a long pry bar, or we're going to take it off with a long braking bar. So this will be the extension that goes inside of the cover, and then we're going to use this long braking bar because I got to have leverage. Got to have some leverage to get that oil filter housing off of from over the oil filter. Also, I'm going to use this drill. The size is I think this is a 9mm. This is an 8mm, and we're going to use this drill to take some of the bolts from underneath the cover. On this Mercedes Benz, it sit low to the ground. And if you don't have a lift to lift the car up in the air, you're going to need something to get the front end off of the ground. To do this, I've actually put this Mercedes on 2 wheel ramps. I got the wheel ramps on the front, and I rolled the Mercedes up on the ramps so I can access underneath of the Mercedes, because on the Mercedes, it sits low to the ground. It's designed to sit low to the ground. Made for speed, made for cornering, and it sits low to the ground to keep it stable. The negative side is that you can't slide up under the car to access the oil filter drain plug. So to do this, I put 2 ramps underneath the front to lift the front of the car up off the ground. And now I can slide underneath to remove the cover that protects the oil drain bolt. So we're going to use the drill to take off the cover underneath. So let's get into changing the oil. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I want to put on some rubber gloves. You want to always protect your hands. Put on some rubber gloves to keep dirt, oil, and grit from underneath your fingernails. So we need to access the oil filter housing, and the oil filter housing is actually under this plastic cover. So we're going to lift up on this cover. Comes right off. You flip it over. Just got a couple of tabs that snaps in. So move that cover, and now we want to access this oil filter housing. So we have the oil filter housing, and right here we have the oil filter, the oil filler. So to remove the oil filter housing, I'm going to take my oil filter wrench, place it over the oil filter housing. Next, I'm going to take my long braking bar, and this is going to turn counterclockwise. And I'm going to take off the oil filter housing. Just going to screw that off. And the good thing about this particular design is that the oil is not going to run out, because all of the oil sits in the oil pan. So even though the oil filter housing is upside down, you don't have to worry about oil dripping out on the ground. And now I have the oil filter housing and the oil filter out of the Mercedes. Next, I can go ahead and drain the oil. So as you can see, I have the wheels on the ramp on both sides. Okay, so looking underneath the vehicle, we got to remove these. We got to access this cover because the oil drain plug is underneath this cover. So we have a bolt here, here, here. We have a bunch of these small bolts that we got to take off. Some on the rear back there. We'll get a little bit closer. We got to take these bolts off to pull this cover down. So to pull the cover down, I'm going to use this 8mm. I'll use this 8mm, and we're going to just use the drill to make it faster to remove these bolts. So I'm going to take my drill, and I'm going to remove these bolts. Just makes it a lot faster with the drill. That's 4 on the front. Have one over here. There's 5. This would be 6. The one here, 7. This would be 8. So now that I have all 8 bolts removed, now I can drop this cover. Now I can just drop it down. And the cover drops right down. Slide it on out of the way so we can access the oil drain plug. And I'm going to take my 13mm socket. I have a couple of paper towels handy. And I'm going to take my braking bar. And we're going to break free this 13mm bolt. Get my paper towel ready. I got my oil pan ready. And we're going to drain this out. And we're going to drain this out. Make sure I hold on to the crush washer and the drain plug. There we go. Look at that. There's the drain plug and the crush washer. And we're going to just let this drain out. And that oil looks real good. The oil change on this particular vehicle is every 10,000 miles. You can do your own oil change and just save yourself a little bit of money. And then you'll know that the work is performed properly. Because that's the thing about, you know, I've heard so many horror stories. Guys take their vehicle up to these little oil change places and they may not put the drain plug back in, or they may you know, overfill the engine, God forbid. So one thing about doing your own work is that you know it's done right. And if you can work on your motorcycle, then you can work on your automobile and vice versa. So wipe up any excessive oil. Examine the crush washer and the drain bolt. That looks good. So we're going to put that back in. And the thing about working on your own bike or your own automobile, just make sure you have the right tools. If you don't have the right tools, make sure you get them. You don't want to strip bolts and just make things work. You want to make sure that you got the right tool. Make sure that's good and tight. So wipe up any oil. And we're going to take the cover. So we're going to take the cover. Place it back. It only takes a few minutes to just do your own work. Save yourself some money. Put back the screws across the front just to get them started. Next, I gotta take my drill. Two on the back. Now that cover is secure. So we're going to take the oil filter, pop it out. So now that I removed the oil filter from the oil filter housing, we have an O-ring. O-ring actually looked pretty good. I'm going to take the original new filter, and we got an O-ring on the top, right there on the very top. And we're gonna just push that oil filter down onto the housing. Just gonna set the oil filter back into the housing. Going to just screw it down. Just going to hand tighten it all the way down. Once it stops, I'm going to take my oil filter cap and I'm going to tighten it down. That's on there nice and snug. And now we can go back with 6.9 quarts of oil, full synthetic. We're gonna go back with this Mobile One 540, full synthetic. That's two. There's three. That's four. There's five. This would be 6. But I'm just going to eye it. We're going to just go with about a 1/2 quart, and then I'll check it from there. That's about a 1/2. Once I get the car on level ground, then I can finish topping off the oil. Once I get everything leveled out. I'm gonna put back the cover. So I need to pull the oil stick, which will be right here on the side. And I want to make sure that the oil is in between these ridges. Perfect. So now I can pour the oil inside of this jug. And I can take this up to a parts store like AutoZone or Napa, and they'll let me discard this oil for free, or they'll recycle it. Pour all of that oil inside of the jug. Just let that drain. And this will conclude my video on how to change the motor oil inside of a Mercedes Benz GLK model. If you would like to see future videos like this, or if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, feel free to put it down in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. See ya.